Thursdays here on Squirrel Tonics. So, as you guys know, last Thursday, I got the chance to go see Pentatonics on tour. And I figured in today's video, I would recap the day for you. You guys know I had a whole lot of stuff to get done before the show, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't finish it until the day of the show. I was up until 6 a.m. the morning before my show, and I still wasn't all done. I went to sleep at 6, got a couple of hours of sleep, so that I was pumped for the show. And then I had finished Scott's scrapbook an hour and a half before I had to leave for the show. So I finished all the stuff, I got everything in their respective bags, and then I left to go to the show. Then I get to the venue and I park, and this venue was very confusing. And I got there early, so there weren't many people trying to tell people where to go. So it was very, very confusing trying to figure out which parking lot I was supposed to go to and which box office I was going to, and it was all so confusing. So I just decided to wait an hour and go to the mall across the street. I'm walking around the mall and I realized there's a Starbucks. I was like, I guarantee you that Scott and Mitch were over there earlier. So anyway, I go back to the venue across the street and I go to the one box office and they're just like, nah, this is the wrong one, you're supposed to go to the other one. So I walk all the way around the venue to the other box office and I finally see people in line for the VIP. So I get to wait in line for VIP and I'm on the phone with Scott Squirrel the whole time because I was there by myself. So it was really fun being able to talk to her during it. She said she felt like she was reliving the experience with me. So while I was waiting in line for the VIP, I made a couple of friends and was talking to some people, and some people came over to me and asked like what I had in the bags, and I felt really funny carrying around these gigantic bags because the bags were like this big, and I had 5 of them with me, and Scott's was full because he had a couple of extra things because, you know, he's my favorite. But it was crazy. Like, carrying these bags, I felt so stupid because they were so huge, and I had 5 of them. We get the rules explained to us, and then we go in, and we're standing like in like the merch and food area, but like the stage is like right up against it, so we could hear them sound checking already, and I was hearing Mitch singing, and I was like, oh my god, I am literally right by them. I am less than 500 feet away from Pentatonics right now. They're real people. They're not on my computer screen. They're not on my phone. These are real people. Like, obviously I knew that they were real people, but like the fact that I was actually seeing them like in person, I was freaking out. I was literally like, oh my god, they are right there. I can't see them right now, but it's them. They're right there. And I was so happy. Like, I was almost crying because I was just so happy with the experience. So then we go around and we go to sound check, and the venue is like, there's a very, very, very long staircase to get down to the stage where we were having sound check. So as we're walking in, Mitch was just like, wow, you guys have a long trek ahead of you. So like we got like a quarter of the way down, he's like, you're almost there, and we get like halfway, he's like, you're so close, and like by the time we got to the end, he was just like, you made it. And as soon as we got there, Scott points to a couple people. He was just like, oh my god, I remember seeing you guys at Starbucks earlier today at the mall. I was like, I wish I would have been at the mall like an hour earlier because I would have ran into Scott, and I would have been like, that would have been amazing. But anyway, so we're standing at sound check, and they were just like, so we're gonna do like any random throwback song. So they take requests, and they ended up singing Dog Days Are Over, and it was really cool because they didn't like remember it 100%, but like you can't expect them to. They haven't sang the song in a couple of years, but like it was really funny because Mitch was like singing, and he would just be like singing, and then he'd like, wait, was that right? And then he'd go back to singing, and then he was like, wait, I forget the lyrics, and then he'd go back to singing. So it was like, they did it really well for not having performed it in like 3 years. Like, they still remembered all the harmonies, and like the chorus they had down pat. And Scott even said that he's like, I don't think I'm ever gonna forget that chorus because I practiced it so much on the sing-off. So like, that was really, really cool. So they were taking questions, and all the while we were at soundcheck, Scott was like looking at me, and he was like intently staring at me, and I was like, this is kind of cool. Then they were answering questions, and I raised my hand, and Scott looks at me, and he's like, he points to me, so I'm just like, okay. So when you guys are taking like a popular like mainstream pop song, like No, for example, how difficult is it for you guys to like transpose it into a cappella but still be pop and make it sound as amazing as you guys do? He's like, wow, thank you, first of all, because that was an amazing compliment. And then he goes to answer the question, and he was just like, we know each other's voices and each other's sounds so well that we know when we hear a song if it's going to transpose well to us, so we always pick songs that we know are going to transpose well into our scales and our music. And then Avi chimes in and he's like, and we always have to make sure we're excited about doing a cover, because if we're not excited about doing it, you guys won't be excited about hearing about it. And then Scott and Avi kind of like talked back and forth, and all the while they were like actually answering the question at me instead of like, and it felt like personal and it felt really nice. And then they answered like 2 more questions, and then sound check was over and we leave and we go to get in line for pictures. And I was talking to people, and me being there by myself was really beneficial because I was actually talking to other pentaholics. It felt so great to actually talk to other pentaholics and like find things in common, and I knew that no matter who I talked to that was there would be able to talk to me, because we would have at least one thing in common, our love for pentatonics. So it was really, really nice just like talking to people and getting to know people. And I was standing in line and I was so excited to go up and meet them, and I was like shaking, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm about to go hug Scott Hoying, like this is crazy. So we get to right before my picture, and oh, segue. As you guys know, as I had said in a couple of other videos, I was making a surprise for Scott Squirrel. So what I did was I made us matching t-shirts to wear to our shows. This is what it looks like. So she wore hers to her show, and she had talked to Scott about it because he was like looking at the shirt. And then she had said that he was gonna meet me and blah 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 blah. So when I was standing in line waiting for my picture, I rounded the side of the backdrop, and Scott just looks in my face and he's like, oh my god, you had like a sister at the Nashville show and she had that shirt on. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, it was like my best friend Carly. And he was like, oh yeah, and he's like, I was supposed to remember your name, what was it? And I was like, Gabby. He's like, Gabby, that's right, I'm so sorry, I was supposed to remember that. And I was like, it's okay, like you remembered my shirt. I was like, it's okay. He's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's okay. So then I was going to tell them what pose that I wanted, and I went like, can you guys, and I looked at like Kirsty and Avi and Mitch and Kevin, and I was just like, can you guys do like the arm heart thing? And they were like this? And I was like, no, like, and then Scott looks at them and he's like this. And they were just like, oh, okay. And then Scott goes to do it with me, and I was like, no, you and I are doing something else. He's like, ooh, what are we doing? And he's like, and then Scott goes, do you just want to embrace? And I was just like, yeah, okay. So then like I hug Scott and we take our picture. So we take those 2 pictures, and after that I was just like, I looked at him and I was just like, thank you. And then I walked away, and I'm like freaking out because I just met Scott Hoying. Like I just hugged Scott Hoying. Then I go around and I pick back up my gifts and we get back in line for autographs, and all the while standing in line for autographs, I'm just like, the squirrel shirts. I have to remember to tell Scott about the squirrel shirts. So like that is the only thing on my mind, is to remember to tell Scott about the shirt. So like I'm standing in line, I'm getting ready to go up, and I get up to the table, and Kevin is just like, hey, how are you? And I'm just like, I'm good, how are you? And he's like, I'm great. And I asked them to write happy birthday on my poster because that was my birthday present, and I was celebrating my birthday while I was at the show. And Kevin goes, and he writes in Chinese, and he goes, oh, that's in Chinese, by the way. And I was like, I figured as much. And I was like, thank you so much. And he's like, you're welcome. And then Mitch kind of seemed like upset at the autograph signing session. I'm not exactly sure why. He kind of seemed like mad or upset or something, and I kind of felt bad for him, but I was just like, hey, how are you? And he's like, I'm great, how are you? And like he smiled, and I asked him to write happy birthday on my poster, so he wrote happy B-Day, and then he signed it. And then I get over to Scott, and I look at him, and I smile, and he is signing my poster, and I asked him to write happy birthday, and then he wrote happy birthday with like a little heart underneath it, and I was like, oh my god, like, this is amazing. And I'm just like, for a second, I'm just like, I hand him his bag, and I'm like, oh wait. So I go and I take the rolled up shirt out of the bag, and I uncover it, and I was like, I was told I have to show you this shirt. So like I take the cover off the shirt, and I like turn it around so he can see it, and I'm just like, we have a Twitter page and a YouTube channel, SQUIRREL'S, that there's a letter with your shirt that like explains everything. And he was just like, oh wow, SQUIRREL'S, I'm gonna have to check it out. And I was like, oh my god. And then he was just like, he sees his bag and how full it is. He's like, this is a huge bag. He's like, there's so much in here. I'm so excited to open it. He's like, thank you. And I was like, you're welcome. And then I was like, just like staring at him, and as I was walking away, and I walk over to Kirsty, and she's just like, hi, how are you? And I was like, I'm good, how are you? And she's like, I'm great. And then get over to Avi, and Avi was so sweet. He was just like, hey, how are you? And I was like, I'm great, how are you? He's like, I'm great. And then I was like, this is the best birthday ever. And he was just like, oh, it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I was like, thank you. And he's like, I hope you enjoy the show. And I was just like, oh my god, thank you so much. And I was like, I hope you guys enjoy performing. And then I walk away, and literally immediately after I stepped out of the VIP zone and was allowed to have my phone out, I called Scott Squirrel. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, he remembered the shirt, and like, he wants to check out SQUIRREL'S, and I was freaking out, and I called her, and I was so happy. And then I was on the phone with her as I was buying like my merch. I bought this sweatshirt, I bought this t-shirt, I bought this necklace, and all the while I'm still reeling from getting to meet them. Like, I'm still freaking out that I just got to meet Pentatonix, and I get to see them in concert in like 2 hours or an hour and a half or so, and I'm like so happy. So I go and I sit in my seat, which are like smack dab in the center. I mean, I'm a little bit further back. I'm not like close to the stage, but I'm like smack dab in the center, and it was amazing. Like, my seats were so great. I could see everything. AJ comes out and he performs, and I was just like, okay, yeah, that was good. And then Us the Duo comes out, and they were amazing, and they were funny and adorable. They're the cutest couple ever. Like, they're so adorable. And then right before Pentatonix comes out, I am like, I'm so excited because it's like my first time ever seeing them live, and I was like, oh my god, this is so awesome. I can't believe I'm about to see them live. And they come out with Cracked, and I melted. I was like, Scott and his run, yes. And the entire concert, there was only 2 people in my section, like where I was sitting, standing up and dancing, and I was one of them. And Scott looked at me so many times because there was only 2 of us, and we were right in the center, so we were right in Scott's like point of view, and he was looking at both of us the whole time, and he like looked at me a couple times. So I was kind of keeping my fingers crossed to be like misbehaving beanbag girl, but he had a little girl picked out, and it was really adorable because this little girl was so cute. But so I was sitting through the show, and I was dancing, and I was having a blast. I recorded the entire concert on my phone, so I can relive it whenever. I mean, it's not the same as seeing them live, but it's still amazing. And I am living. I love this concert. Was just like the best concert I have been to in my life. I loved it so much. I bawled my eyes out when they sang Light in the Hallway. I was crying so hard. It was so beautiful. Like, I already knew that song was beautiful, but live, oh my god, that song was gorgeous. I literally, all my makeup was gone by the end of that song. It was so sweet. I cried during New Year's Day too, but Light in the Hallway just made me cry so hard. And then, since it was the last show of the tour, literally the audience, there was so much energy. Like, literally the amount of energy that was in this crowd was spectacular. Everyone, like, I felt like I was the one up on stage. That's how much energy was being thrown around this crowd since it was the last of the US tour, or the first leg of the US tour. It literally was the best crowd I've ever been around. We were all singing so loudly and having so much fun. So I had no voice by the end of the concert. We were standing around waiting. We weren't sure if they were going to come out because, you know, it's the last show of the tour. They're gonna have an after party, and Scott's gotta have his champagne and Mitch his Chardonnay. So I'm pretty sure we didn't think they were gonna come out, but we waited a little bit anyway. And it was nice talking to some Pentaholics. So it was nice getting to talk to, if any of you guys that were there were watching with me in Columbia, Maryland, like, thank you. It was really awesome talking to you guys after the show. It was so cool. Like, it was one of the best experiences ever. Like, I wasn't really much of like a talker to people who I don't know. I am now, and I never really used to be, but like, being around Pentaholics, I just felt like I could talk to anybody. It's one of the best fandoms I've ever been in. Like, it felt really good to just like be able to walk up and talk to anybody and know that they were gonna talk back and talk about Pentatonix, and it was just really, really awesome. We waited around for a little bit and nobody ever came out, so I walked back to my car and I left, and I was still just like, oh my god, I just met Pentatonix. So then I anxiously awaited for the meet and greet pictures to show up, and I got my meet and greet pictures, and I couldn't be happier with them. I love them so much. They are so cute. Although there's some funny faces going on in them, but like, they're still really, really cute. Here you go, here's one of them. I love this one because Scott's face is just so cute. Although in that picture, Kevin's face is kind of just like, he looks like surprised that the picture's being taken or whatever. And Avi wasn't ready for the picture to be taken in that one. His eyes were closed. But then, in my second one, Scott just looks overjoyed. And I'm feeling the same way. I'm freaking out because I'm freaking hugging Scott Hoying. But in that one, Avi and Kirsty's looks really, really good. And Kevin and Mitch's heart is killing it. Their heart is amazing. But like, Mitch's face in that one is really funny. I just love, his face is so funny. There are pictures of me standing in line waiting for autographs, a picture of me talking to Kevin, a picture of me talking to Mitch, 4 pictures of me talking to Scott, and a picture of me walking away from the table. And it's just really awesome how I've so many pictures of me actually meeting them, and there's even 2 pictures of me showing Scott the Squirrel Tonics shirt. So like I thought that was really cool, having pictures of me talking to Scott about Squirrel Tonics, just that you guys know that I did talk to him about it. And then the fact that that night Nicole was wearing our shirt, like her Snapchats, we saw her in our shirt. It's so awesome that somebody who is around Pentatonics is wearing our shirt. It's so exciting. All we're waiting for now is one of them to do it. And I'm really, really excited because now I'm going back to see Pentatonics again since they announced their second leg of tour. Me and one of my really good friends are going together, and I was ordering tickets for it, and I was supposed to order them for Philadelphia because I live in Pennsylvania, so Philadelphia was a very close show for me. It was only about an hour and a half away. So I go to order tickets and it's 10 o'clock on the dot, and I click, and I'm like, I'm getting private performance, so I was just like, oh my god, click, and there was a private performance available, so I'm so excited, and I'm shaking, and I can barely type, and I ordered the ticket, and I get to the end, and it is for Connecticut. So I'm like, well, I can't cancel, and I can't do anything else, so I guess I'm going to Connecticut. So I call my friend, and I'm just like, so I kind of accidentally ordered my private performance for Connecticut instead. Do you want to go with me to the show, or I can go by myself and you and I can still go to the Philadelphia show together? And he's just like, nope, you know what, let's go to Connecticut. So he orders his VIP for Connecticut, and I have a private performance ticket, and the fact that I got one, I'm still screaming inside, and I literally cannot wait. My new countdown is down to 177 today, and it's gonna take forever. The first one took forever, and it was 96 days. And this one's gonna take so long because it's 177 days until November 12th that I gotta wait, which is funny because it's exactly 6 months after my May concert, so that's really cool. But like, I am so excited to see them, and we have floor seats, and I get private performance, and he's got sound check and meet and greet, and I cannot wait to go see them again. I'm so excited. I'll probably wear my Scott shirt again. I mean, it's gonna be November, so I'm gonna need something a little bit warmer with it, but I'm wearing my Scott shirt again because I'm pretty sure he'll still remember it. So yeah, that was my experience at the Pentatonics concert. My question of the day today is, did you go to see them on tour? And if you did, put your experience in the comments below. I'd love to hear all your stories about how amazing Pentatonics was. And if you didn't see them, are you going to see them on the second leg of tour? Or in Europe? If you're watching from Europe and you're going to see them, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thank you to everybody on Twitter who wished me a happy birthday yesterday. It meant the world to me that you guys were telling me that how much you love my videos and saying happy birthday to me, and it felt so good. So thank you to you guys for making my birthday extra awesome. It was a great day. I had a phenomenal day. I spent time with family and friends, and I ate cake, and it was awesome. So thank you guys for all those birthday messages on Twitter again. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. The links will be in the description box below. I hope you guys have a squirrely day, sending you lots of our acorn love. Bye!